my good friend over in Auburn, our mayor, Jonathan Labonte. Please welcome him.
How was that? Yeah? Maybe a little bit lower? Yeah, that looks good. Good evening, everyone. So I probably don't come across as a guy that would go take a walk around the Auburn Mall. Even when I was young enough and that was the cool thing to do, I wasn't hip for walking around the mall. But I remember one summer day, I was taking a walk around the mall. I think my parents might have been at another store, and I got free rein to go for a walk and had a friend with me. And we went to Olympia Sports. I had a paper at the time, didn't have money on me, probably didn't make much at the time anyway, but was just checking things out. And I noticed that every part of the store me and my friend went to, the clerk was following us, watching what we were doing, and eventually they came right up to us, it's something that we can help you with. And we said, no, we're just looking, and they stood there. And I certainly felt very uncomfortable, not knowing why we were just being followed, so we left. You see, the friend that I was with, his name was Moses, and he came up every summer when I was growing up as part of a program called the Fresh Air Fund. Moses didn't exactly fit in at the Auburn Mall 20 years ago. Moses was black. The Fresh Air Fund was a program that created an opportunity for kids, in particular in inner city New York, to get out of town, to have a chance to experience and see things they may not otherwise have a chance to experience. And my folks thought it would be a great idea for us to play host to a young person from New York City. Moses was a couple years younger than me, growing up in the Bronx, and we always had a great time. It started off, he'd come up for 2 weeks in the summer, and typically the program went that if there was a good relationship between the host family and the young boy or girl, you could have them stay up to a month with you. And they'd have structured programs you could take part in. I did summer baseball leagues, and there was a PAL league at the time in Auburn, and they gave Moses a chance to play along. And I was very young and naive, and I remember when first couple times Moses stayed with us, we asked him about his family, and he'd tell stories about his family. And his dad lived uptown. I couldn't figure out what it meant for his dad to be living uptown. Well, Moses didn't live with his parents. His mother had significant drug issues and had been in and out of rehab. His father, uptown, was actually in the state prison. He was being raised by his grandmother. So his grandmother was the one that would call and check in on him and ask how things were going. And it was interesting to me because in the summers, when I wasn't playing baseball, doing other things, I was spending time with my grandmother, who happened to live just up the street from me in New Auburn. And my grandmother would tell stories, and she would talk about all the great things that I could sort of rise up and become, and going to college like my parents hadn't had a chance to do, and that sort of upward mobility everyone talks about with the American dream. Well, Moses' grandmother wanted the same thing for him. I remember one time up at the outlet beach at Lake Auburn before it was sort of taken over by all those Canadian geese, and the water quality went downhill and no one wanted to be there. The Fresh Air Fund would host a barbecue, and I remember one summer John Jenkins, when he was a martial arts instructor, hosted a demonstration, and I remember the look on Moses' face when he said, "That guy lives here?" Having not seen an African-American gentleman around town. Well, at some point, the Fresh Air Fund, you get to a point where you age out of the program, and that's it. Most people don't tend to come for nearly a decade, but they age out of the program. So Moses reached that point, and we would still talk on the phone during the course of the year. His grandmother would sometimes call when he was out, pleading with my parents to find a way to help him. And my folks for a couple of years decided, well, let's get him up here for Christmas. He's on school break. Let's have him come up for 2 weeks. And we did that for a couple of years. The first couple of years, those 2 years actually, was after we had left our apartment and my parents bought a house, which to him was a house. You guys must be loaded. We weren't, but to have a house for someone from the Bronx was certainly different. After he left after that last Christmas, not long before I was going to go off to college, I remember a call from his grandmother pleading for my parents to adopt him, to get him out of New York. She knew things wouldn't end well for him, and he was going to find himself into trouble. And as the news has played out over the last couple of weeks, these, whether it's in Ferguson or New York, and I watch them, especially on my social media feed, just folks flaring out real ignorant shit that drives me nuts. I'm reminded of the last time I heard about Moses, and it was a summer after I'd come back from college. I graduated from college. I just moved to the Boston area, and my dad pulls me into their computer room and shows me a news story he just found about Moses. Moses was a passenger in a car heist in Maryland, where a convicted cocaine dealer had crashed their vehicle driving 80 miles an hour through a residential neighborhood, killing their 2 passengers. Thank you.